Okay, so welcome everyone to another space and moment of everything and nothing. So today I have another guest. And I always let my guests introduce themselves because I don't believe that I know everything about them and I don't even know how they're feeling on that day. Who knows? I don't like to encapsulate people in one thing or another, but I can tell you that I am grateful that he said yes to come in to have a conversation, and I am grateful that we can share a moment and space and talk about the essence of it is going to be innovation. Whatever flows through it, we will see. But with that, I'm going to hand it over and let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much, Beth. And it is a pleasure to be on your podcast. It's completely mine. My name is Subhastin Kharag, and I am in the insurance space, and I work with business owners, advisors, firms, and we put structures, insurance structures in place, and that's the kind of work I do. And I that's how I met Beth, and when she was back doing disruptive and innovative things, and it just resonated so well. The work that you do and the voice that you bring to our space is tremendous.
Yes. Thank you for being here. So, the reason I didn't want to say his name, I'll say it now, it's because I don't call him that. I call him Subhastin. And I've always called him that. And I keep hearing other people call him Sebastian. And I was like, why are they butchering his name? How dare they? And then I realized, oh, I think I'm the one butchering the name. But um, it's a good way to start the conversation because it has to do with connection and empathy.
Yes.
And I mean, with my name and the way it's spelled and the way that it's pronounced, it's also different. And sometimes I don't even tell people my name. I just change it just because it's easier. Just call me Beth. And they're like, is that your name? I'm like, no, but just go with it. Um, we met, I believe, early in the stages of when I made the decision to go out and support the innovation environment in the insurance industry specifically. And I remember I remember feeling uncomfortable being who I am and stepping out because a part of me was aware that my voice, my style, and my way of communicating was not the usual, was not the norm. And yeah, it was freaking scary. It's like, I don't know how they're gonna take it. But I knew deep in my heart, in my soul, in my essence, that it needed to happen. And the more I talked about innovation, the more I talked about empathy, the more I talked about solutions, human centric, the more I realized it's not about my comfort, it's about shaking things up so that we remember as human beings what we're here to do. So I'm saying all of that because I'll still call him Subhastin, was one of the safest people I came across where it felt like it felt like you got it, like you understood it. And it felt like almost as if you were saying, oh, yeah, there's others that think that, say that. And in an industry like the insurance, we need more voices like this. What do you think?
And and you know what? That's what struck me when I remember vividly how your voice was so powerful and it was so unique and it was so you. And that's the one thing I remember vividly saying to you, I love your voice because you come from it from such a different vantage point that it really stood out and it was you. And I think I remember you saying that you weren't comfortable first to put yourself out there in that way, and then you did, and that's you. Like we all come to this space and this time that we have together, and we need to let ourselves be free to be ourselves.
Yes, 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 yes. And it's what's interesting too is the more I worked with in with the industry, the more I sat with people, the more I facilitated sessions and worked with the teams, the more I realized they were looking for that too. It's almost like they're
100%.
looking for that, for lack of a better word, that awkward one
Hmm.
to make it seem like, well, if she's doing it, I can do it too. It's okay to be that.
The permission, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the more we did this co-creation sprints where we went out to talk to people, the more we heard, sadly but truly, the perception that people have about insurance,
Hmm.
which is not nice. I'll just say
Hmm.
it. It's not nice. It's a lot of people are concerned, are afraid. A lot of people see it as thieves. And and the reason I say this is because I tell people, the people that I work with, you, many other teams, you're not thieves. You're not like that. You're genuinely wanting to care and support the people that need that support. And I started realizing that right away, which is why I decided I'm going to stay with this industry and I'm going to support as best as I can, being as awkward and different to them as I am. Because the essence of where a lot of people are coming from is still from the core of the concept of insurance, which the
Right.
concept is to be there. I remember, I don't know if you were there. We had someone come over from one of the consulting firms, and they were talking about insurance, and they were teaching the students because we had a group of students, and they were going to teach them about insurance 101, what it is, where it came from.
Hmm.
And it stuck with me because they were presenting it and they said they share it as a fairy tale. They said, picture it. A long time ago, once upon a time, there were these ships that these Vikings
Mm.
were on, and they would transport goods from one place to the other. And they started to recognize that it wasn't an what if the ship goes down, it was when it goes down,
That's right.
because the sea was unpredictable and it was in control. They were not in control. And it reminds me, of course, of like the indigenous teachings. For me, indigenous means people that are from that earth, from that place, that know it.
Yeah.
And the Vikings in themselves were indigenous to those areas. They knew the sea, they felt it, they heard it, they had a connection with it. And their focus was, what are we going to do when the ship goes down? What are we going to do with the goods? And what are we going to do with the families that are left behind?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with that concept because it was so community based. And then the more I met people and I talked to them and asked them, why did you decide to do work in insurance? 9 out of 10 would say, I want to help.
100%. 100%.
And then, you know, you came across, and then others like you came across, and then we started building this maybe small compared to the great scheme of how big the industry is, but solid community of like, we have to go out there and support one another. But that's my experience. And
Yeah.
now I give a little bit more context about how I felt like, I don't know about this. But I'm curious, how has it been for you? Like joining the industry, working?
Yeah, great question, and you've nailed it. This is an industry that what I found is people genuinely care about others, and sometimes it's the misconception or the unknown, not knowing enough about how things work in the industry that puts this kind of thought in some people's minds. But I see lives changed forever, and I see genuine care to do the right thing. So I love this industry. I've been in this industry for about 23 years now, and it's it's something that has opened up tremendous doors. Coming across and meeting you in this journey, and how to look at things from a different lens, and how to really, disrupt the not only just industry, but also your thinking in your mind, and how to, let go. I remember another time where when we were doing this hackathon that when you were training us and giving us some insights on this, is about letting go and letting your inner child come out. And we're born, we get conditioned, and then we lose something. And I think you were able to, for those who are willing to let go, open up that previous childlike stage we were in, and that was so enlightening. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's, you know, I remember those moments and the importance of feeling safe enough to let that inner child come out. And I often tell people, if you're really struggling with a solution and you have children, tell them your problem.
Oh, that's a great one.
Because two things will happen as we're little, when we're little. All we want to do is help.
Hmm.
I mean, half the time it's like you're not really helping, but okay, it's like, can I help? Can I help? Because they're heavy things, but they genuinely want to help. At least I
Yeah.
remember my nieces, my nephews, my sister, my brother, myself when I was little. And it's part of our essence as human beings.
Yes.
There's even a study that has been done because a lot of people still need, evidence.
Yeah.
And one of the things that makes humans the happiest is solving problems, which is why when we used to hang around to co-create solutions for challenges, we felt happy. We felt like we were doing something. And when I think about children,
Hmm.
they feel happiest when they help. Like if you think about your kids when they're little, like toddlers, 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and they see you struggling and you're like, can I just get there? And they give it to you. They stand there to like admire what they just did, to like observe, like I help someone.
Yeah.
And when little kids, when I used to teach Taekwondo and my little students would come in and I would say, oh, can you help me with this? They're like, yes, ma'am. And they would run, they like almost trip because they're so desperate to help.
Yeah.
And so I started telling people, when you have a challenge, just start a conversation with, like the 5, 6, 7-year-olds and tell them, I have a problem. I can't
Mm.
figure out a solution. And they'll engage, especially right now when there's a lot of electronics around.
Yes.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we talk about the things that shut down our creativity, the things that shut down our connection. Too much of anything will do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, and it's hard to get away from that. Like I look around and it's everywhere, and it's but the interesting thing, even though it feels like such a heavy cloud, this technology machine, let's call it, I'm seeing more and more people wanting to break out of this and wanting to connect on a one-to-one level, or in presence of others. So you're starting to see something happen.
hmm I think in our in life in general, when we have too much of anything, we do get tired of it.
Yeah,
You know,
it's true.
sometimes it's because our body tells us it's enough. Take the example of overeating or
Yeah,
drinking or even working out. And sometimes it's we just get bored.
yeah.
We're looking, a lot of people at other times we're looking for that instant gratification, and then we realize you just keep getting the same amount over and over, and then you have to change it,
Hmm.
which is part of the whole disruption of innovation. Innovation is all about creativity and changing things, looking at it from a different way. And kids have the ability to do that
Yeah,
because they're curious actually. They'll ask more questions and they'll be like, "Oh, you mean like this?
yeah.
You mean like that? And why that?"
And you know what? What as you bring that up, I'm thinking, okay, how do you get people to be willing enough to let that come out? Because it's really difficult sometimes to get someone to say, okay, you know what? we're talking about childlike thinking and just letting yourself go and get rid of all that pre-built, you know, thinking of where we are and how we've been conditioned to let that go. That's one thing that I've found was the most difficult thing to get others to look at.
Yes, that's a good question, and that's my answer to that is it's how I did it with you and many others was create a safe space.
Yeah.
You know, part of it is the person has to want to, and I don't know if you remember this. Remember when you probably do because it's kind of embarrassing but fun. In every session I did, we used to dance,
Yes.
and out of those almost 10 years, let's just call it 10 years because it was like 9 years and I don't know, 8 months or whatever. Out of all those 10 years, only one person said no.
Oh, really?
Everyone else just danced,
Yeah.
whether there were students, managers, beginners in the industry, C suites. They just went, and it was not even a C suite that said no. It was just one person that was like, I'm not dancing. And I told him, you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember people saying, how do you do that? How do you get adults to dance Macarena of all songs with you 2 hours after you meet them?
Yeah.
And there's several things, that I share when I create that space. And the very
Mhm.
first one is I'll never ask you to do something I've never done myself.
Yes.
And I feel in any industry, in more like in the work environment, people have the tendency of demanding from others what a lot of times they're not willing to do themselves.
Mm.
And as inner children that we carry within us,
Mm.
they're observant. It's like the kids. Kids will do as you do, not as you say.
Yeah, 100%.
Period.
Yeah.
And in a work setting is the same. Leaders are over there saying, do this, do that. And employees are going like, yeah, like you do it.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
won't say it,
Of course.
you know. They won't, but they're observing, they're paying attention to the leadership, even in a country.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, we can expand it in every area. And what helps that inner child to relax and let go is knowing one, that the person asking for that, making that request, is also going to do it with them because then it's safe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't ask them, someone wouldn't ask you to do something that they're going to do themselves that's going to hurt themselves. Not
That's
really.
true.
I mean,
That's true.
potentially. There's some people out there that are a little.
But how do you get rid of the fear? I know you've created the safe space, but how do you get rid of the fear of someone feeling that they're making the wrong decisions, or to just get out of themselves to look at the creative aspect? Because you've been really good at being able to do that, and again, looking at the way you've progressed through the way the training aspect of it and encouraging and almost like a guide, but you have this uncanny ability to get people to leave at the door. Yes, you get into the child state, you start to look at things, but you leave at the door your preconceived notions of what the end result will look like.
That has a lot to do with the relationship one has with itself, with them. I say itself because you can be man, woman,
Mm,
it, they, whatever. The relationship we have with ourselves and the relationship we have with fear and failure. And it goes back, believe it or not, to our own experience in our life,
yeah.
right? And a lot of people, not everyone, a lot of people have done a lot of work through, therapy, coaching, counseling, whatever. Especially nowadays, it's coming more and more out. Like people are talking about their healing journey and this and that. However, it doesn't stop there. There's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of it. And I feel that the reason I'm able to do that is because I came to a place, and it's one of the books that I wrote from the ground up. It talks a lot about my personal experiences. I came to a place where I actually started accepting and loving the challenges. I wouldn't say I was like, oh, I'm so glad that happened to me, made me stronger. No, I
Hmm.
am strong.
Yeah,
It's part of who I am. I am creative. It's part of who I am. Those things happening were not to make me stronger. Those things that happened were experiences that I encountered that allow me to step into my strength, that allow me to step into my creativity. And we see it in, for lack of a better word, what we call developing countries. You know, it was in the 80s that I was born. In the 80s, Canada and the US, most of the places had telephones. In my little village where I was born, my grandma was the first one to have a telephone. It's
yeah,
the 80s. At
yeah.
the 80s, most people would, US, Canada, people were born and you had a birth certificate at the hospital. In my village, my grandma had to take me physically to get registered.
Hmm.
I didn't have a birth certificate like that. So, what I'm getting at is going back to those memories, I those experiences were amazing because it allowed me to get creative. You know, countries that have limited resources, they have to get creative.
That's true.
And it's not even that they have to get, they are creative because that is what's presented to them,
Right.
or they'll die. They'll die of hunger or heat or cold or whatever. I mean, we can make houses out of snow. Like,
That's true.
seriously. As
Yeah.
humans, we have that. If we're in the desert, we figure out ways to make it so that we don't hurt ourselves, so our loved ones don't get hurt. Like, the creativity is there. It's
Right.
about accepting that the experiences that are showing up in our lives are an invitation to step into an X version of ourselves. I don't want to say better or higher,
Yeah.
more, whatever we're looking for, right? So I leave those things at the door. Like, even when I told you I'm afraid that they're not gonna like, I had to leave that at the door and then show up and just speak, just be
Mhm.
myself. I had no choice really. When people are like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, I did have a choice. My choice was not to do it and then regret it. Oh, that's another thing that's been coming up lately.
Mhm.
The things we regret the most. And today I was walking one of my dogs and I had this bubble of thought, and it was like, remember to say this because it applies at work. What we regret the most are the things we didn't do.
100%. 100%. And fear comes into that. Like fear is such a big thing that inhibits people from doing the thing that they should be or want or could be doing, for a completely different life.
Yeah. One of the very first episode I did for this podcast was talking about fear because I was afraid. I had had this vision of creating this space 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I
Yeah.
kept putting it off because I was afraid. Who's going to
Yeah.
listen? Who's going to show up? What am I going to talk about? Who am I?
Yeah.
And when I finally decided this year I'm going to create the space, I said it to people. I do it more for me to honor myself and honor my need to have a space where I can speak about whatever I want. That's why it's called Everything and Nothing. And I'll invite whoever I want.
Yeah. I had a thought as you're saying that, and knowing you from the short time I have known you, I think 2019 or 18, something like that. It's like bamboo. You don't see anything, and then all of a sudden, like you've gone into this new identity, and the creativity, what you're creating is like shoots of bamboo in the air. It's amazing to see how much you've done in this short period of time. Incredible. I applaud you.
Well, I received that. I received that, and And that right there, you just explained part of the answer to your question. Like,
Mm,
how do we do that? We either do it or we don't. And if we don't leave those fears at the door, we keep seeing the same thing repeatedly. But the moment we leave them, it's like jumping off. We have no idea what's going to happen,
yeah,
but whatever it is going to be better than it was before. It has to.
yeah,
Because if we look like,
um,
I tell my clients, no matter where you're at right now, if you close your eyes and you reflect on a year ago, no matter where you're at right now, it's slightly better than where you were a year ago, than when you were even 3 months ago,
that's
even where
true.
you were yesterday. And that's being cautious. That's walking cautiously with fear, holding back. Now imagine
Mhm.
it would just freaking went whatever. And that's part of what I create when we work together as teams or when we do one-on-one is there is nothing, there is no box. There is no definitions, there is no labels, there's not even language. And what I mean by that is there are times when people are trying to describe how they feel or a solution comes up and they're like, that thing. And I'm like, well, what is it? I don't know the word. And I tell them that's why I use all the creativity, the Lego,
Mhm.
the dollar store things to build your models because it's like then build it. And their words are so limiting. But if they start just painting a picture like kids do,
Yeah,
and we go back to that, right? The fear gets in the way because most people don't want to use those resources, those tools, because they're afraid of being laughed at, being, I'm not going to say who it was.
yeah,
I went to a company once, it was an insurance company, and they were, I think it was about 18 people, 15 to 18 people. And three of them felt so uncomfortable with my presence that they were like, no,
mm.
everything about her is wrong. Does she have a disability? Is something wrong with her brain?
Wow,
Seriously. And I'm at a point where I'm like, no, but if there was, well, that's kind of crappy of you to say that.
yeah, of course.
Because I'm at a place right now where I'm like, I don't care if people think I'm weird, awkward, whatever. Whatever. Is this
Yeah,
working? And that's a funny thing. At the end of the day, in that group, in that session, everybody opened up.
yeah,
Everybody started sharing. Even those people that did not feel comfortable, they still pushed themselves because one thing that they did have was diplomacy.
yeah,
They didn't want to tell me to my face what they were
yeah.
thinking, but they wanted to play along, which is fine. I'll leverage that to the benefit of the group.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's coaxing it along, and that's because I've seen you pull some who are like, oh, hesitant. No, don't take me fighting to hold back, and you've opened up their eyes. So I think that journey that you've again creating that safe space and helping them, guiding them along, has really helped that tremendously.
It
But I
does.
see
And
so much of it. I see so much of that. No, I don't want to change. I don't want to move forward. I just want to stay where I am. It's comfortable.
well, it's also scary, right? Like,
Yeah.
where are you going to take us? And one of the things that I tell people when we're working together, especially in groups, I just tell them, don't worry, if we fail, it's my fault.
That's right.
And just saying that, people are like, okay, fine, you're responsible. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm responsible for it, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and that's the thing, how you say, like, how do we move out of fear? Because I know to the depth of my cell, in every cell in my body, that there is no failure. And the failure that it's there comes with amazing, amazing growth. And it's going to be bumpy and uncomfortable and yucky and sometimes like, exhausting.
Yeah.
And yet there's growth. I mean, we hear it in so many different metaphors. We talk about, the lotus, it comes from mud. We look at, the sun and the rainbow coming right after the storm.
Yeah.
I mean, even our beautiful tan, some of us have to peel before we get it. It's not pretty. It's not meant to be pretty. It's
Yeah.
not meant to be like, you know, in Mexico, we say they're not enchiladas because enchiladas are the easiest things to make. You just have salsa and tortillas and boom. They're not enchiladas. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
Um, and fear. I mean, the funny enough, the innovation book that I wrote specifically for insurance, and I know you've read it. The main thing I talk about at the beginning is fear. All the different kinds of things that we're afraid of
Yeah.
that keeps people from moving forward. And as a leader, and I say as a leader because when I facilitate this, I'm leading.
Yeah.
People are looking up to me, not from an ego, arrogant kind of way, but more from a, like you said, I'm guiding you through something, and I better know. Kind of like the Sherpas, right? They take you out
Oh
there. They
yeah.
better
Of
know.
course. Of
They
course.
better know, because if not, it's gonna backfire on everyone.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm not by any means. I'm not saying I'm fearless because I'm still afraid.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I thrive on the fear. That means that on the other end, there's going to be something amazing. And I trust myself enough to know that even if people laugh, even if people call me names, even if people think I have some kind of disability, um, I know myself. I know why I'm here. And I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that word disability. This is your ability. Like you have this ability, right?
Yeah. Oh, funny
So
you said,
if
yeah.
you think about the wording, this
Yeah.
is your ability. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because,
But I find that strange, and usually it's from our own eyes. We're looking at the world through our lens. So for someone to react that sort of way would be something's going on there. There's definitely something there.
oh, yeah. And, to
Yeah.
be fair, I had heard some feedback about that specific department and in that specific organization. And so I wasn't surprised when
Yeah,
that happened. And at the same time, I was aware that there was only so much I could do, and then I had to leave because I wasn't
that's
welcome there.
true. That's true.
You know, uh, when I when we do this innovation, when we talk about innovation and we talk about moving through fear and trying things, there comes a point where we have to know when to stop and when to walk away.
Hmm.
And if we're drowning or we feel like we're drowning, if we're not feeling heard or like we belong or we're not feeling valued, we have to know and accept that that is the reality in that space and then move away from it. Because a lot of people, like you were saying, in this industry, they really genuinely want to do good. And a lot of them they feel like like their hands are tied. They want to be creative, but they're not really allowed. It's this condition of creativity. Be creative as long as you make this much money. Be
Yeah,
creative as long as you bring that much profit. Be creative and I'm thinking, well, we have to fail a couple of times,
yeah.
you know? And the challenge also is that people then want to fail in a very cautious way,
Hmm.
which is not really failing. Almost like I want to fail knowing exactly what's going to happen so I can tell my boss, look, we failed and we figure it out and you're right. And it's like sometimes the bosses are not right.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm just thinking about the two different organizations that I was a part of on one of these sessions, and they had completely different mindsets. There was more uninhibited thinking from one versus the other. And now to think about it, like what was the difference between the two? Because they had different opinions of this experience, and the results were so different. And I think it's the environment. So if the environment's not cohesive to trying different things and, don't worry about the repercussions, we've got you. Versus the other organization, it's like, yeah, try things, fall down. We know you're going to fall down, but try because it's going to make us that much better. Yeah.
Yes, and in an environment like the second one that you described, that's where what is needed is the people that are going to show up foolishly fearless.
Hmm.
And I mean that with a lot of love and care.
Yeah.
Foolishly meaning like, I'm just going to go for it and whatever happens. I'm going to look like a fool and I'm going to get up and it's going to be ugly and it's going to be bumpy
Yeah.
and I'm just going to own it. Because
Yeah.
that's an invitation for the awkwardness, for the childlike, for the goofball to come out,
That's true.
for the
That's so
humble,
true.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge because even if the environment is there, because I know a lot of people and you might be like, oh yeah, that's true. I know a lot of people that create that environment, but their
Yeah.
teams are not willing to. So then we have, two different scenarios. One where the environment is so strict, like, you're not allowed to fail. I mean, fail, but fail cautiously. Fail, but
Yeah.
not too expensive. Well, it's like, okay, well, I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, the solutions don't work. The innovation doesn't work. Nothing works. And then it never goes back to the decision maker saying, well, we're the ones holding you back. They'll say, well, what's wrong with you? We
Yeah.
gave you permission.
Yeah.
Why are you just giving me, why can't you just leave things the way they are? Just change one thing. And then we expect, you know, a good profit, a good revenue, a good whatever. So you have that. And then you have the other, the polarity, right? The other side where the people are like, you know what? We trust you. Go for it. Just fail. Make it ugly. Don't worry. And the people are like, this sounds too good to be true. I don't think I want to do that. Or they wrote in their CV or their resume, I'm a total disruptor. And then they show up and they're like, actually, no. I mean, no. What if no, who's going to say what? And they hold back. And that's because previously they were in a place like the other one. Now they went to the other extreme without giving themselves a chance to really become aware of what they're saying, what they're wishing for. Like they say, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. For
If we
sure.
really want to, I'm leaving this organization, the environment's too rigid, I want something different. And then, life, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, your prayer is heard, your request, your wish is granted. Boom. All of a sudden, people are like, whoa, okay, that's a little too scary. No, 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 not that much.
Yeah.
Because we have to do the work ourselves,
For
and
sure.
that's where I am grateful for those moments because that's where I come in. That's why I have a job. That's why I go in and I write the books and I tell people this is a formula. This is a framework that you can use. It's not even a framework. This is a guide. Step
Yeah.
one, like literally, there's a guide in there. Just follow it.
100%. And I've seen it repeated many times over. And it's funny, like having been through so many now, is seeing when everyone appears and then seeing the progression as we get to the end of the day. Because oftentimes it's over a day or
I
two,
know.
and it's tremendous watching that.
Yeah.
And you really do have a gift of being able to move that innovative mindset through people.
Yeah, it's definitely what I said earlier. I also don't have time to like, oh, we're gonna need 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. We don't have that time.
Yeah.
And I've seen, again, no offense, we're all moving at our own pace. I've seen consulting firms that either go in and do the work for the people,
Mm,
which is
yeah.
like, we're hungry, we need fish. Oh, here's some fish, but they don't actually. They let you watch them fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
They bring you food. They even cook the fish for you, and then they leave. And then you feel all happy, like, oh, the fish are frozen. We just put them in the oven. But then you run out of them and then you have to go fishing again. And then you're like,
Absolutely.
we don't know how to fish actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did anybody pay
There's a
attention?
lot of that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that. Yeah.
So there's that aspect of, those people that come in to say, oh, I got you. You're busy. It's
Yeah.
going to be this much. It's going to be pretty pricey, but we're going to do it for you. That's a short-term solution, of course.
Hmm.
And then they leave. Or they come up with, let me help you ideate. And they leave you with 400 pages
Yeah.
of what needs to be implemented. And then they leave. And then people are like, but how?
Oh.
And then you have the other extreme, which is the other consulting firms that are more like a smaller scale, because now people are thinking we just need to bring someone, a coach or a consultant to help us. But then they're taking their time to get it done because I don't want to go too quick because now you have a customer, right?
Yeah. Of
I'm just
course.
being blunt here. You know me. I'm
Yeah. Of
blunt.
course.
So they're
Absolutely.
just going to gradually, and I'm thinking, I don't have time for that. If I do that, that's one organization, one team that I'm helping, and change is constantly happening. They need to catch on quickly
Yeah.
so that they can do it because I want to go help the other one and the other one and the other one. I
Of
wasn't
course.
designed, I wasn't made to be a one client,
Yeah.
one trick pony, as they call it. Heck
Yeah.
no, I'm like a freaking unicorn in a dragon suit with like frogs and horses and trees. Life is so amazing. Like, there's so many people in so many places in the world. And that's just one generation.
Yeah. That's true.
If we do things in a community mindset, mentality, when I help one team or one group of people in 2 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours, and they get it, and then they go do it, that reaches many people.
Yeah.
And then as we get older, we keep repeating this so that when this generation kicks the bucket, it's been solid enough for the next generation to take over and continue it and make it better,
100%. 100%.
right? So in a way, it's like, whether it's the innovation focused innovation at work programs or whether it's the life coaching, I tell my clients from the very beginning, I always give my disclaimers. There's a few, being a failed stand-up comedian, that's the first one that goes out. Although I was in South Carolina, let me tell you,
Yeah.
and I'm going to derail. So I was, talking to this group of women because it was a women's summit, and I was telling them how I'm a failed comedian, and I just kept being myself. And they
Yeah.
were laughing. Oh my God. One of them came up to me afterwards and she said, you are the funniest presenter I've ever met. You are just like hilarious. And I was like, really? She said, yeah, now you don't have to tell people that you're a failed stand up comedian. Even though this wasn't stand up comedy, it felt like it and you were funny. I was like, well, I'll
That's
put that on
amazing.
my CV. Um, but I realized when I was doing that, part of it is one of my core values,
Yeah.
fun. I want
Yes.
to have fun.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Not like fun, but like laugh from the belly, look like a
Yeah. The
fool.
joy. Joie de vivre.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we do that, if you remember every session that I run, we are laughing.
Yeah.
We get the work done. We don't even know how the work got done,
I know. I know. It's remarkable when you think about it.
but we're laughing. I make a fool of myself all the time, and I think I'm hilarious, and people are like, "Oh!" And next thing I know, someone else is, laughing. But going back to where I was going with this was,
Mm.
if we really think about those connections and the things that we're here to do and the spaces that we create and the responsibility that we have as human beings to share our knowledge, to share what we remember, we can all really create something more effective, more efficient, more beneficial, that it's a win-win.
Yeah.
A lot of things in this world, in my opinion, are very out of balance.
Yeah. Yeah. for sure.
And there's a lot of suffering for that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think sometimes it's when you're not your, maybe this word's not the right word, authentic self. If you're not your, letting yourself out and be as who you are, your complete essence. Like, you were created for a reason. You're here for a reason. And for you to not, I always believe that if your energy is inhibited, you're going to see the stress. You're going to see the roadblocks and whatnot. You have to let your energy out and
Yeah,
you know, yeah, find yourself. Like
definitely.
sometimes I find that we sort of talk over you, but sometimes I find we don't realize how powerful we are and the light that's inside of us.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to have these connections. Like I remember in my last, change in my life, I reached out to you and I was like, I think I'm gonna do this, and you were like, No. I mean, you do whatever you want. However, I see more like this, and that helps, because sometimes, like you said, we don't see
Right.
our brightness, we don't see our beauty, we don't see our
Yeah.
potential because we get so beat up sometimes
Oh
that
yeah.
all we see is survival. And
So true.
yeah,
And if you think about it too, like there's so many factors trying to condition and keep us in the shell, for everywhere. Like even now that it's in like social media and all of this, like so much pressure to keep people within their shells.
like even in organizations, right?
100% in
There's people that
organizations.
want to see
100%.
certain employees a certain way only,
Yes. Yes.
and that's the whole imbalance thing, and that's why it's so important for no matter who, when I wrote the books, especially the innovation one, no matter who picks it up, whether it's an intern wanting to be in insurance, whether it's a manager,
Yeah,
a C level, a director, it all starts with you,
it
you know,
does.
the man in the mirror. It all starts with that.
Yeah.
Because even when you said like be authentic, go out to be yourself, if we don't even know who the heck we are authentically,
Yeah.
it's confusing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna go be me. It's like, who am I? Um, but going, tying the circle to that speed at which transformations happen when I facilitate sessions,
Yeah.
I do give disclaimers to people that if you're gonna work with me, you're gonna change, and it's gonna happen like
You
that.
definitely will. You
I don't have
definitely
time
will.
for I don't have time for that. I'm gonna deliver something. And when I first became a coach, one of my one of my mentors told me, stop saying that to people. And I said, why? Because what I used to tell people is, I don't want to be your coach forever.
Yeah.
I want to work with you for a couple of years, 3 max, and then you should be on your own. And she was like, no, I mean, what if you get a client? I was like, that's codependent then. If they still
Yeah.
don't get it, I
Yeah.
mean, it's one thing to have check ins like once a quarter. Sure,
Right.
I'll do that. But if it's still like weekly sessions or bi-weekly, something's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what is that person gonna do when they die?
That's right.
They're like, well, you're so young. I'm like, that's not the point. The point is teaching them how to fish.
100%. Fish, walk, stand up on your own 2 feet. Yeah. I get that 100%.
And that is one of the things, one of my clear purposes and visions I have right now in my, vibrating through my body is going out there, not for the long haul with every person, but
Mm.
for the get it done now.
Yeah.
Um, whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's in the personal, people come to me, they're like, I want to design my life. I read your book about designing your life, and I saw, how you overcame so many things. And, and I'm working on my healing. And I'm like, you're already healed enough. Go get it done.
Yeah.
People that come over and they're like, I want to be creative. You are creative enough. Now do more. And I can show you how. I can show you. I'm literally a big mirror, and I just know how to shift. the angles enough to where people, all we need is that one instant
That's a brilliant analogy.
where, when you're kind of looking and you're like, there it is. And you see the beauty, the presence, and you see everything that you see every day all of a sudden becomes smaller. And what you see is that one moment of clarity. And if you remember that one moment, and then we just have to tend it like the fire. If we just stack the wood in that position and we got it going, all we have to do is pay attention to it and keep feeding it.
Yeah.
Flame will just keep going.
Wow. That is incredible. You are a powerful person. You really are.
Thank you.
Thank God you've this journey is leading you to this direction, and that what you're putting out there, because the so many people are going to benefit from your voice, from your unique voice. It's tremendous. And I always believe there's a reason that we move in certain directions in our lives.
Yes, there is. And the last time you and I met for lunch,
Yeah.
which is always funny because I feel like we meet and then we're going to be like, oh, we're just going to meet for like an hour. And then it goes on because the
I know.
conversation gets so good and there's so much
Yeah.
richness that comes out of it, right? But I remember we talked about people experiencing burnout right now
Yeah.
in such an intense and subtle way. Subtle from a place of it's happening without them knowing that it's happening, but aware that it's happening.
Hmm.
But because there's so much resources and so much exposure on social media about, breathe like this and do this and exercise, it almost feels like it's being managed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm noticing more is it's not. The people are suffering, and some of them are realizing that, taking care of it as best as they can on their own. But we can't do everything on our own. And I'm telling you this from experience. I couldn't have, like, this book that I wrote, well, both of them, but the first one, I couldn't have done it without your help, without Sven's help, without, my ex partner, with his support, with, taking care of my little ones.
Hmm.
Life, our experiences, our journeys is much smoother in collaboration. And we always talked about that in the
Always.
lab, in
Always.
collaboration. The key here is finding the right fit to collaborate with. I'm
That's
not
right.
saying I'm better than other people. No,
No.
there's just certain things that I have that will match certain people, and there's certain things that other people have that match those. Like I was another organization back in the day was big on, I met with the team and they identified they needed to change some things and they knew that change needed to happen
Hmm.
and they needed a change management consultant and coach. But I was banned from the place because I made the CEO uncomfortable. My
Mm.
approach. And he said, I agree with everything she says, but it can't be her. It needs to be someone else. And I don't resent them. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care as long as it gets done. And they brought someone in, and the change has been, I mean, they're still changing,
Yeah.
which I'm thinking like, I understand now why he brought someone else because he wanted that change to be gradual. Whereas
Right.
with me, it would have been like now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that change would have been over and over and over, repeated itself. Because once we get one thing clicking,
Sure.
then you become aware and then you're constantly looking for tweaks.
Yeah.
You don't just
Absolutely.
sit there and wait for it
Right.
to happen. We know that we make it happen. And that's scary for some people.
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. There's fear in so many different levels.
Mm. So, anyway, we're coming close to
Mm.
our wrapping of the conversation. I always love it. I always tell people we'll just go and have a conversation. We'll feel it when it's coming full circle.
Yeah.
And my biggest takeaway, I would say, from this conversation is really the reason why I am still committed to supporting this industry because of people like you. And like you said, there's a lot of, from an outsider's perspective, there's a lot of lack of knowledge. There's only glimpses, there's only
Yes.
hearsays. But you and I are in it. You and I feel it, see
Mhm.
it, talk to people about it. You and I have seen the passion, and we carry that passion of doing good, of helping each other, not just the end user, but the teams themselves, the organization. So I'm really grateful. I say this every time I talk to you. I'm really grateful to have crossed paths with you, and I'm grateful that you decided to come spend some time here and talk.
Yeah, thank you. And I am eternally grateful to have met you and on this journey and the change that you've had on me has been tremendous. And the insight, the collaborativeness, like everything. It's been a monumental shift for sure. And I'm thankful for our friendship.
Yes, it's been good. It's been good, and I still believe we're doing good things in the world, one
Exactly.
conversation at a time.
One conversation at a time.
Perfect. All right. So with that, thank you. I'll see you again because, like I said, there's a
Yes.
another group conversation happen, which I love, and I'm excited about that one. But we'll stay tuned with that. But with that, yeah, thank you, listener. Thank you for your support, and thank you for listening and for being open to the things that we share, and always an invitation to allow those seeds to find a space. And if they don't resonate, just let them go. But if they do, tend to them, feed them, and just
Yeah.
see how beautiful what's going to grow out of it it's going to be for you and for everyone around. So yeah, with
Thank you,
that,
Beth.
until next time, I hope you have a
Till next
beautiful
time.
weekend.
You too. Enjoy.